Hello and welcome. Today we start the new series of lectures about the most important elements of the chess strategy and chess tactics. So, the new course of Win with Boris Alterman. And our first them today will be the pass pawn and how to play with pass pawn, how to use your pass pawn. So, all you, of course, play chess already for many years and you have some experience, but sometimes when we reach the typical positions like with the pass pawn, exactly we just have a hard time to know how to use it, what the advantages of the pass pawn. So maybe you scared to move this pawn forward. So I would like to help you with all these important issues. So first of all you know that pass pawn, that the pawn which has no opposition. So when our opponent has no opposite pawn to our pawns, and not only, so in that case we could move forward the pass pawn up to the last rank. So in generally, what is the first and important principle? Why we say that when you have the pass pawn you have to push it forward? Because on the second rank the pawn is not worth much. So when the pawn is becoming more and more close to the promotion rank, so the pawn becomes more and more powerful. So when from the d4, then d5, then d6 pawn is reaching the e square, so we can promote it in any piece. At this moment, when pawn, let's say, is reaching the 7th rank, sometimes this pawn already worth more than a piece, very close to the rook. In many situations, when pawn is almost reaching the 8th rank, so it costs almost a queen. So it means that if pawn on the second rank, it costs just a pawn, one, that when pawn is reaching the 6th rank in many situations, especially in the end game and of course in the middle game, sometime when this pawn is helping us to attack against your opponent's king, so this pawn could cost at least a piece, and when it reaches the 7th rank, so the pawn in many situations costs at least one rook and even more. So because it's so close to promotion rank. So that's why we say when you have the pass pawn, always push it forward. And whatever combination and whatever a position you have with the pass pawn, the first move you have to start calculating is moving your pawn forward. And so this is most important principles. So we will study in our course, of course, many different situations about the pass pawn. So how this pass pawn could be used for a promotion, how a movement of this pass pawn could be used for taking the attention of all the opposite pieces for blockading, so preventing this pawn from going forward. So the most simple and the most obvious example I would like just to show you. Forever, sometimes we have the position like in the pawn endgame, when the one side, like in this situation, is having 3 pawns and also your opponent has 3 pawns. However, our king is quite far from our pawns and black's king is already threatening to capture one of our pawns after king g4 or after moving and playing g6 move. So white has to find the way how to use the advanced position on his pawns. So now from this example you can understand why it's so important to move your pawns forward, because in the endgame in many situations we can reach the position when the advanced position of the pawn help us to create the winning combinations, right? So let's say in this position white, let's say after h6, g takes h6, g takes h6 and king f4, unfortunately loses the game because pawn is blocked and black's king without any problem just captures the pawn on f5 and then pawn on h6. So instead, white is having brilliant combination. I believe that you can find it. So the combination is based on the fact that white's pawn already very advanced, and we have a chance to create the passed pawn by playing g6. Now, whatever way black is capturing the pawn, white is winning by force. For instance, after h take g6, we have the great combination move f6, helping the h pawn to reach the 8th rank, h6 and then h7, h8, and white is win. If after g6 black is capturing the f, take g6, again white is having h6 move, and after g takes h6 and f6, black cannot stop white's f pawn. So this simple combination shows a great potential of advanced pawns. So when we could create the passed pawn, it's almost impossible for black to stop this pawn from being advanced up to the 8th rank. So 2 pawns on the 6th rank, let's say in the next position, almost always better than a rook. In this position, doesn't matter the white to move or black is to move, white pawns are going to be promoted, so there is no any defense for black to stop white from doing it. Let's say after rook e6 or rook g2, white is just moving forward one of the pawns, f7 or g7, and the game is over. So 2 passed pawns almost always on the 6th rank better than a rook, and of course clearly that when you have 2 passed pawns, so the position, your position is clearly superior versus the situation when we have just 1 passed pawn. So let's go for the next position. In the next position, white is having the rook down, and his only chance now is the d7 pawn. So as we know right now that the first and most important principle of any position with a passed pawn is just try to promote it. So if we follow and play d8 queen, it's quite easy to understand that this move is only chance for white to escape from the troubles. Any other moves, let's rook takes b8, or rook c7, then rook d8 leads to the position when white cannot do anything. So more or less d8 queen is the only and brilliant solution in this situation. So black is losing connection between 2 rooks because is discovered check. So at the same time white is checking also king on d8 and also prevents black rook from connecting each other. So black is losing the harmony after king takes d8 between the rooks, and white is playing rook takes b8 and fantastically winning just one more rook on h8. So thanks to the great combination with pawn promotion, white just achieved simply winning position after 2 moves. So look again in this position. Without even consideration, you have to start your calculation for the promotion of the pawn. So d8 queen, king takes d8, rook takes b8 check, and rook takes h8, white is winning. So definitely we can find many situations when a white is sacrificing even material for promoting the pawn. So let's say in the next position, white is to move, and of course first of all we start from consideration the move b7 b8 queen. However, in that case black's rook is just capturing our pawn. After b8 rook takes b8, so we have to look for other continuation, for other solution, and now we could realize that the king and the rook are situated on the same rank, on the 6th rank. So we could find the way how to distract the black's rook by playing rook d6 check, and now black rook has to leave control over the b8 square after rook takes d6, and we play b8 queen, so white is having easy winning endgame with the queen against rook. So let's consider the chances in the next position. So here white is having the two bishops and the extra material. However, black is to move, and thanks to the better development and the opportunity to create the pass pawn, black is suddenly reaching the winning game in just two moves. I believe that it's not so difficult for you to find the way how to create the pass pawn for black. So since white's king on d1 and queen on c2 situated not so great, so black could play bishop e4. So thanks to the pin, white cannot capture the bishop, so he must accept the trading of the queen's queen take b3, and in that case black is creating the pass pawn which is rushing to the back rank. So bishop is also very helpful in this situation. So black is intending to play b2. White's only move is king c1. So this the typical situation when white pieces are not developed yet. So there is no way for white to stop b2. So after king c1, black is having important resource knight c4 or knight a4, and white just cannot prevent black from pushing b2 check and b2 b1 queen. For instance, e3, b2, king d1, b1, and black is simply winning. So one more idea. So already we studied the three different ideas. First is just direct promotion of the pawn, so push your pawn. Second, in the previous example, just way to distract your opponent piece and just find a way how to promote your pawn with a sacrifice. And third way, now we can see just creating the pass pawn thanks to exchange, and again white has no chance to escape from the losing situation after the pass pawn has been created. So even when you have the material advantage, you have to be extremely careful while your opponent has a pass pawn. So in the next example, white has the extra knight and his position should be easy winning, so white just could simply capture the pawn, or to prevent black pawn from being promoted, let's say after queen e2, controlling the important c2 square. Instead, white decided to win the game immediately and played the rook d1. So it looks like white is really winning, since after queen takes d1, knight takes d1, and rook takes d1 check, king g2, there is no time for black to move the pawn forward. White is just simply checkmating black's king after queen c8. For instance, after g6, white plays again queen c8 check and collecting this most dangerous black's pawn on c3. However, let's look at this position again, rook d1. So I really suggest for you, when I ask you to solve the problem, just to stop your player and just try to solve the position yourself in your mind before, of course, I show you the solution. So in this position after rook d1, many usually tell me, okay, this move is not so great because black could play c2. Unfortunately, c2 is not helping much for black, since white always could play in this position move like rook c1 and still winning the pawn on c2. Of course, not rook takes d4. After rook takes d4, white should be aware of the black's promotion of the pawn after c1 queen. However, black is having a winning combination. So instead of resigning the game, black is winning the game. He plays still queen takes d1, knight takes d1, and using the typical move and important principle of playing with the passed pawn, c3, c2, amazing position, look at that. White is having queen and knight versus rook, however the black's pawn cannot be stopped from the promotion square. So if white plays queen e2 or queen c4, so black is just simply promoting c takes d1, queen check with a decisive material advantage. But even after the best knight e3 and c1 queen, as a result of the combination, black is just having extra exchange without any compensation, just absolutely winning position for black. So you have to be extremely careful when you play the chess game. One slip, like in this position, like rook d1, could cost you a game because your opponent has the pass pawn. In the next example, it's not so easy to see the way how white could win thanks to the pass pawn. However, we can even create very unusual combination with a huge sacrifice like in the next example. So white to move and win. So obviously we have to find a way how to promote the b pawn, but it looks like impossible because black's pawn on b7 is blocking the white's pawn. However, after queen takes a6, so we are ready even to sacrifice our strongest piece, the queen. B takes a6 and b7, so quite important connection between the rook and the pawn. Black has the only one answer, so black has to play queen b8, trying to prevent white's pawn from being advanced. However, now the bishop is joining the game, bishop a5, and with the next move bishop c7, white is forcing black to free the way for the passed pawn, and after, let's say, bishop f6, bishop c8, queen takes c8, finally white is promoting the pawn into the queen, b8 queen, and game is over. So white is having decisive material advantage. So let's look again for the interesting idea of the combination. So creating the passed pawn by sacrificing the queen for a rook, and all this just for moving the pawn to the 7th rank. As I explained you, so when your pawn is reaching the 7th rank, sometimes it costs more than a rook close to the queen, and this position is not exception from the general rule. So in the next position, it's not so clear who is having better game, white or black. However, both sides have a pass pawns. So white's pawn on g6, black's pawn on c3, so black pawn is even protected pass pawn. So black is also threatening to promote the pawn. At the same time, white's king in just quite dangerous position, so black could play queen h5 check with a serious threats against the white's king. Indeed, white is to move, and this is a decisive factor. So white is finding here a quite interesting way to promote the g pawn and to create the decisive mating threat. So how we work it out? White to move and win. So we are ready to sacrifice here the full queen for just moving this pawn forward. Queen h8 check, another brilliant move. So white is sacrificing the queen for just idea to move the passed pawn forward. So push your pawn g6, g7 check. Black king cannot go to h7 because of the white's bishop, so only move is king g8, and even here it's not so easy to see that white is having easy winning position, but he needs to sacrifice one more piece, and this move is bishop h7 check. Now if king captures the bishop, then finally the pawn reaches the 8th rank and g8 queen, and the similar position could be achieved at the king f7, and also here g8 queen, and black's king checkmated. So the next position, it looks like black doesn't have any problems. The pawn on b7 is blocked by the king, so white also cannot create the direct threats against it. So how to support the passed pawn, how to create the decisive attack against the black's king. So with the next move, black is also intending to capture on b7 our only pawn. So we have to be in hurry, and white is having here very nice and not so difficult combination for reaching the decisive advantage. So still the most important factor is the passed pawn on b7. So white to move and win. You're right, bishop a7 check. So now if king takes the bishop, then we promote with a checkmate. If rook takes, then our rook just captures on a7 and black has to resign, because after king takes a7 again we are promoting with the easy winning position, and for any other moves white is just simply playing rook a8 check and game again winning for white. Knight takes b7 would be met by rook takes b7, and white is having rook up and again simply winning position. The next situation when white is having the rook and the bishop for the queen. However, his pawn on d7 is extremely dangerous, and if we now going to promote the pawn into the queen after d7 d8 queen, so unfortunately black is having quite unpleasant cold shower. Queen takes b5 check, and after king goes away queen takes e8, and instead of winning white has to fight for a draw. Is there any better option for white to use his strong passed pawn? Exactly. So we can move it forward and promote, but not into the queen, into the knight. Look how we do it. d8 check. So this check is decisive now. The rook has been protected by the bishop. At the same time white is checking the black's king, so black's king cannot escape to the 8th or 7th rank, so should go forward king f6, and now we are coming with decisive rook e6, queen takes e6, knight takes e6, king takes e6, and after bishop takes a4. At the situation white is just getting absolutely easy winning endgame with the extra bishop. So as result of the combination after d8 queen, exactly we're using the same principle which we were studying, promote the pawn. So the first move you have to consider is a promotion of the pawn, but this time we promoted with the knight and achieving as a result the easy winning position, just huge material advantage after king f6 and rook e6 check. So let's go with the next interesting position when white played bishop d4, trying to win the pawn on b2. So black is having strong passed pawn on b2, and also the other pawn on a4 could support the pawn on b2 in order when black is reaching the two passed pawns. As we know, just rook is useless. However, we have of course also the bishop, also the queen, also the rook, and looks like white has no problem at all here after bishop d4. So what's your solution? Black is having, however, the great combination which could decide the game into their favor. So black is sacrificing the queen. Queen takes d4, rook takes d4, rook c1 check. So now if queen takes c1, then b takes c1 queen, and white is losing because he is king in the maiden net. Rook d1 only move, and finally rook takes b1, rook takes b1 and a3. Unfortunately for white, the two pawns already close to the promotion rank, and white's rook cannot help anymore. So the last trick in this position is to play rook d1. Maybe black would push the second pawn on a2, and we just reach the 8th rank and checkmate black's king. However, black of course could simply answer g6, giving a window for a for the king to escape. Rook d8 check, king g7, rook b8, and as we studied, the 2 pawns on the 6th or 7th rank, so here the 2nd rank, just always promoting, so no way to stop these pawns from being promoted. a2 and game is over. Rook takes b2, a1, queen, and white is lost. So once again we see the combination when the power of the pass pawn just decides the game. And let's look at the last combination for today. It's most interesting. White is having again rook and bishop for the queen, however his pawn is almost there, so the pawn is very close to the promotion square. I believe that first move is not so difficult to find. White hardly even can play, let's say, rook to f7 because black's king is just coming to g6, and it is not so clear how the white could find a way to promote this pawn. Indeed, we have much better solution. And first move of the combination bishop g8 check. So trying to force black's king to capture the bishop. In that case, after king take g8, white is playing rook f8 with the check, king h7, and finally e8 queen with a winning position, so black doesn't have a chance to create the perpetual check after queen d4 check, king h2. There is no way to stop checkmate attack against the black's king. However, after bishop g8 check, black has better option. Of course not king g6, because almost winning move bishop f7 and then e8 we are promoting immediately. So black has to play king to h8, and what's going on now? So this is the most difficult position to calculate in your head, because it looks like white is having trouble. If we play rook f8, black simply captures our pawn after queen takes e7. Instead of winning, we are in losing position. So if bishop goes away to f7, trying to promote the pawn, black is simply captures queen takes e7. So we have very nice idea of overreading. Bishop e6, fantastic resource. So now white is threatening again to promote the pawn after e7, e8, and it forces black to capture the bishop. Otherwise rook f8 coming with a decisive threat. Queen takes e6, and finally again we play rook f8 check. Finally support this pawn, protects the 8th rank after king h7. White is playing e8 queen and winning the game. So this nice combination, with this nice combination I would like to finish the first part of the course about how to play with your pass pawn, how to use your pass pawn. So this pass pawn element and different combination, just one of the most important principle of the tactical and positional game when you have this kind of advantage. So when you have the pass pawn, don't forget to push it forward. As close pawn to the promotion rank, potentially its pawns become more and more powerful. So it was on the 2nd rank, it was just 1 pawn. In the 6th rank, it's close to 1 piece, and the 7th rank sometimes it's close to the rook and even to the queen. So when you have the pass pawn, push it forward. And in the end game, now you can understand why the strong chess players always try to push the pawns close to promotion rank, because there are a lot of different combinations in that case when we could promote this pawn into the queen and to reach the winning position. Thanks for watching, and I believe you enjoyed. If you have any question, just leave me a message on ICC, and I would like to remind you that we start the new course of lectures about the chess tactical and position elements in chess. So the most important basic and classical ideas of positional and tactical chess elements. See you next time.